Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, I spent $5,000 plus to inconvenience and embarrass a competitor who treated me like crap. It was worth it. Petty revenge on old construction company on threefold. Glitter bombs for 10 years. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I spent $5,000 plus to inconvenience and embarrass a competitor who treated me like crap. It was worth it. So I used to run a small business, wedding space, and I was very successful in a very short period of time. To the point that I was getting all expense-paid invites to industry conferences less than 6 months after I opened. Needless to say, this ruffled feathers. Enter Kate. Kate is a chief Karen who competes in the same space and has been nothing but awful to me from the moment she became aware that I wasn't just competition, I was doing better business than her. She would complain that I had gotten expenses paid, implied that it was because I was pretty, said that she felt people who had been in the space longer deserved it more, and a vaguely racist statement about how my outfit colors don't look good on dark-skinned people. She also reported my booth for accidentally being less than 3 inches outside our 10 by 10 slot, and has tried on more than one occasion to have my competing products removed from vendors' halls. Needless to say, I despise this woman. Now fast forward a little bit into the pandemic. I see major issues on the horizon for my business, and so I decide to step out and sell for a pretty penny. Bought a condo. Took a job at a nonprofit and moved along with my life. But some of my friends still in the industry would give me updates or vent, and I was absolutely right to sell. Most everyone doing what I do has already closed, including the person I sold to. Kate, however, was still going strong, though I noticed her prices were really aggressive. My friend then showed me SS that Kate had bragged privately about claiming to be unemployed/disabled by using her longtime partner as a cover for her business, then dropping prices below what other sellers could do because she was double dipping. This really made me angry. I have a mobility disability, and I felt horrible for the people she was running out of business by pricing so low. So I of course reported her, but nothing seemed to come of that. Then one of the biggest conferences of our local industry came up on my calendar. This conference costs $8-10K to vend at, and many vendors make 50% plus of their yearly income from this one event. My friend runs the vending hall, so I asked her to place me right next to Kate. Now when I left the industry, I still had great contacts on the manufacturing side because I speak Chinese fairly well. I found the manufacturer for Kate's top-selling items, and ordered a sizable inventory to take with me to the conference. I priced them at cost and made ginormous signs about inventory liquidation, and created these super aggressive bundle deals that made it nearly impossible for her to do any business being right next to me. I could see her over there fuming, and she did try to come over and complain, but our booth was too busy to even entertain her obnoxious huffing and puffing. She closed her shop last week. I lost about $5,000 doing this, but I got a lot of people deals on packages/items that they never thought they could afford for their special day, and it was honestly fun to help people out, especially at her expense. Wow, sometimes spending $5,000 on getting revenge is good business. Well done you. Ma'am, I am in awe at your pettiness, but even more at the fact that you had $5,000 to spare just to get revenge. Love it. The wedding industry is so bloated it's ridiculous. If you can find a good angle, you start jumping into 6 figures very quickly because the standard pricing in the industry is just so cushy on the margins. But it's also a brutal space. Mess up one wedding and you'll never get hired again if it gets out with the right kind of exposure. You should find out if she got any PPE money. Pretty sure you just have to Google your city and see if her business is on the list. Might be hard to explain a PPE loan while you were collecting unemployment. Oh, that's a great idea. I'll check. I'm so angry for the people who already lost their businesses while she's out here cheating the system to keep hers afloat. Yes. Yes. I am in awe of the fact that you took a loss to stick it to her, especially because you face real hurdles and she manufactures them. You rule, she drools. About her claiming disability/unemployment. It will catch up to her from both sides. The state will definitely want its money back. Sometimes it takes a year or more. I was sending out wages disqualifications dating back to 2015 in 2022. This is amazing. Our nuptials are set for the end of September. Any chance we could cut a deal on anything you happen to have left? We're in way over our heads and still not sure how to proceed on all manner of fronts. In short, we've been winging it. This seriously the best and smartest petty revenge story I've ever heard. The capper for me was "Oh, and I speak Chinese. You are a rock star." Well, I write a lot better than I speak, which is far easier, but even broken Chinese is an advantage for building relationships with manufacturers. I sent red envelopes to all my mainers last year and they were so appreciative, so cultural knowledge helps too. Petty revenge on old construction company on threefold. Long story, but some might enjoy. This started a year ago. So the construction company I've worked for 20 years got a new president and decided to bring in a coaching company because he heard that other big companies are doing so. Well, this company told it to bid on everything and anything so the company could grow from $50 to $65 million a year to $750 million a year. Sounds great, right? Except most jobs are out of state and or country. Then they started looking at the books and see what everyone is earning a year. Now, mind you, I've been here for a while and making $65K a year as a lead carpenter before bonus. About double what a new guy would make. I say bonus because the first president saw huge potential in me when I first got there by saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing things in-house instead of more subs. Best bonus was from a job where we were supposed to finish the job at 5% profit and ended up with close to 20% on a $24 million job. I get called into the office and a meeting on Friday afternoon with HR, president, and the coach. Conversation went as such. The coach: "Be assertive, it's your company." Me: "What the hell is going on?" HR: "It has come to our attention that your pay rate is more of a superintendent than a lead carpenter." Me: "What's your point? I've been here a while, came up just like everyone else." President: "You've also trained most of the superintendent and some project manager." Me: "Yeah, I like to make my life easier by showing them common sense." HR: "Well, we are thinking that you're going to be a better fit as superintendent than a lead carpenter." Me: "No, not going to happen. I've told Steve this 8 years ago. Don't feel like dealing with you asshat on a regular basis." Coach to president: "Be confident. President: "Here's your choice, become a superintendent or this will be your last job site." Me: "Can I get the weekend to decide?" HR and president looking at each other, then looking at the coach. HR: "Sure, but Monday we need your answer." Took my wife to dinner and we talked about it and she was interested in taking a job across the state and become a principal. She could quit making $45K a year and go straight to $90K a year and move in the middle of nowhere. Start of the petty revenge. So that Monday I turned in my 2-week notice with 8 months left on the job site. Now each job gets assigned a Conex box, big metal shipping container. Mine has traveled with me for 15 years. The container belonged to the company, but the tools not so much. When previous president took over, he would deny any tool receipt I would turn in. Every time I would get the denial reimbursement, I would tattoo my name on that tool. Many guys did this but left the tools behind when they retired. Not me, I was forced to quit. I turned the company truck Monday evening and took my dually truck to work hauling every tools out of the Conex. I'm talking tools from welding unit, concrete saw, bull float, shop saw, grinders of all sizes and bending brake. Total estimated value $45,000. Come to find out, one of the job they bidded on was in Canada, and they were banking on me to be a superintendent there since I have dual citizenship and not costing them a few $1,000s in visa. After 6 months, I get a letter from court saying I stole tools from the company when I left. I quickly hired an attorney to see what was up. They were trying to get all the tools that I purchased out of my pocket returned to them. I was the only carpenter at the company that did not have a company email, so every time a denial refund email was sent, I put it in a special folder. When court time came, the attorney hooked me up with a serious nice hotel with nice waterfront view. Keep in mind, only spent $5,000 in retaining fee. So they start on claims court, and the judge is warning my attorney that I could be on the hook for felony theft, and he reserved the choice to call bailiff to escort me straight into federal jail. I'm like, WTF, but the attorney has a poop-eating grin on his face and tell judge no problems. So they had changed all the denial letter to release of fund. Now they had two problems with this. One, he turned in all the emails printed out that I submitted to him. Two, they could not provide any evidence that I received any payment. After 4 days of trial, I was acquitted, and they had to pay for attorney fee, which included my travels and hotel room. Getting $5,000 back. They, on the other hand, are in serious trouble for perjury and $30,000 in attorney fee and court costs. So my petty revenge was: 1. Leaving them early with no replacement for the site I was on, costing them few $1,000s to hire a bunch of small subs. 2. Sending them scrambling for tools they thought I would leave behind. 3. Getting nice hotel with a view of the Atlantic Ocean on their tab. All because the new management wanted a coach company. Guess they missed the pot of gold in this by a bunch. Be confident. The coach was a tool, the owner was a fool, and you took them to school. Oh yeah, and this story is a jewel. The judgment was cool, so jealous I drool. The owner was smart as a mule, please continue to rule. The smart way they should have handled this was to request that he work as a supervisor for that one project for a bonus. Everyone wins. I did a similar thing as a lead carpenter when leaving a company. No court or anything, but it felt great to take all of my tools when I was pretty much the only one that had any. I worked for a company who had a business coach. They just would not offer a contract, keeping me on probation on the advice of this coach. I resigned, and the next day the contract was offered. Too late. Bye-bye. This is what happens when people are money hungry and don't stop and think about the long game. Who knows how much the bobs cost them, but that's what they get. He's a real straight shooter with management potential written all over him. I wouldn't say I've been missing work. $65K a year was by far their cheapest option here. They ended up spending $30K in attorney fees, $5K in the hotel, and in the near future they will have to buy tools that cost about $45K to Opie, and hire his replacements and pay their visas. Yup, they went to get wool from the sheep and ended up sheared. Yeah, but it's not $65,000. They need a new carpenter foreman for probably $50K-ish on the cheap end to replace him, so I consider it $15,000 max per year that they're overpaying him. Keeping him was the cheapest option by far. Why did they think that you had no choice but to stay and take their abuse? You are an experienced lead carpenter who can get another job easily. They were so dumb. They played with fire and got burned. It must work pretty often if they use the tactic of do such and such or you're fired. Still, this time greed really cost the company. A good, experienced carpenter is hard to find. The money they would have made from keeping him employed and happy vastly outweighs what they lost in the trial. If there's a hearing for the perjury, show up and remind them, be confident, it's your hearing. Glitter bombs for 10 years. I worked in a very stressful job for 3.5 years. Towards the end, I had had some surgery and wasn't in a good headspace. I went into the back room one day and was sobbing. Well, apparently sobbing at work was unprofessional and should just get a Xanax prescription, per the head of HR. I was off work on a mandated leave because of mental health issues when she called me to come in and tell me this, BTW. She also told me I was demoted and wanted to know how much the demotion was going to reduce my salary. I swear she was salivating when she said that. My manager at the time interrupted her and said, "No, Dandy Warlocks never took a raise when she took the position, because she took the position at a favor to old boss. So she doesn't get a pay cut." Visible sad face on head of HR. I guess I was one of the higher paid PPL, ick. Eventually I finally found a new job, was able to leave, this was 10 plus years ago, and they checked credit scores at the time for jobs. Mine was still suffering from my divorce. But man, I could still remember the looks on her face when she told me that crying, from the stress of the job, was unprofessional and to go on Xanax. How she would hound me for every possible infraction but ignore the sexual harassment I reported. First, the company forgot to take my master key before my last day. So, on my last day, I saran wrapped anything in all the management offices I could get into. Pens, keyboards, chairs, snacks, scissors, etc. I left the key inside several layers of said Satan wrap and left it in the offices before I left. Then I waited. Around the time the anonymous glitter bomb companies had started up. I didn't have a lot of money, but I set enough aside to send her a glittery package once a year or so. And to keep her from figuring out what the package/envelope might contain, I used several different companies which each used different packaging. Sometimes I'd send those prank candles that started as vanilla but then turned to fart scent. I heard she got married, so I sent her one of those congratulations cards that you had to destroy to turn off. Later, a bear that had to be destroyed to stop singing on her anniversary. Then back to glitter. Then cock lollipops. No more than once a year, but on and off for 10 years. She retired, so I obviously stopped. They were sent to work, not home. And honestly, she probably doesn't even remember me. I don't think she ever figured out who did the glitter. TBH, she pissed a lot of people off. Gotta know if layers of Satan wrap was intentional or a typo, because I loved it. I love when the typo is appropriate. Once you cover everything in an office in multiple layers, it most definitely becomes Satan wrap, lol. Let the punishment fit the crime. She got in your head, you got in hers. Fair play. It's crazy how hard some women will work to make the business environment difficult for other women. Having that lady in charge of HR seems like the worst place for her to be, given the influence that can have on the workplace. I think the best part is that the list of suspects is probably so long there's no point in even trying to find you. I think she deserves one more glitter bomb, for old time's sake. Honestly, I've met so many HR people who are low or even negative on normal social skills. Granted, HR department is there to protect the company, but hell, set people are so awful. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.